The strongest souls walk alone not because they choose solitude, but because their energy is too intense for the ordinary world to contain. Welcome to a journey of self-discovery that will challenge everything you thought you knew about your own power. Right now, as you listen to these words, you might be wondering why certain people seem uncomfortable around you, why conversations fall silent when you enter a room, or why you feel like you're operating on a completely different frequency than everyone else. The answer isn't that something is wrong with you. It's that something is extraordinarily right with you. You possess what philosophers and ancient wisdom keepers have long recognized as an aura so powerful, so magnetically intense, that it literally shifts the energy of every space you occupy. This isn't about mysticism or New Age concepts. This is about the raw, undeniable force of your authentic self, a force so potent that it makes others question their own choices, their own courage, their own commitment to excellence. Today, we're going to explore the unmistakable signs that your personal energy field operates at a level that most people simply cannot match or understand. More importantly, we're going to embrace this power as the gift it truly is, rather than dimming your light to make others comfortable. Your journey to this moment wasn't accidental. You're here because you've sensed your own magnitude, felt the weight of your own potential, and perhaps struggled with the isolation that comes with operating at such an elevated frequency. But understand this: every great leader, every revolutionary thinker, every person who has ever changed the world has walked this exact path. They've all faced the same choice you're facing right now: to shrink back into comfortable mediocrity or to step fully into their power, regardless of how it affects those around them. The first unmistakable sign of your powerful aura is that people either gravitate toward you with magnetic intensity or avoid you completely. There is never a middle ground. This phenomenon reveals the fundamental truth about energy and human nature that the Stoics understood perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about how authentic power naturally sorts people into two categories: those who are inspired to rise and those who are threatened by excellence. When you walk into a room, you're not just bringing your physical presence. You're bringing decades of internal work, countless hours of self-reflection, and an unwavering commitment to truth that radiates from every cell in your body. This energy is so pure, so uncompromising, that it acts like a mirror for everyone around you. People with weak auras, those who have spent their lives avoiding discomfort and choosing the path of least resistance, immediately recognize that you represent everything they could have become but chose not to pursue. Your very existence becomes a living reminder of their own unrealized potential, and this creates an almost physical discomfort in their presence. They feel exposed, as if you can see through the carefully constructed facades they've built to hide their mediocrity. Conversely, individuals who possess even a spark of greatness within themselves are drawn to you like moths to flame. They recognize in you a kindred spirit, someone who has done the difficult work of becoming authentic in a world that rewards conformity. This polarizing effect isn't something you consciously create. It's simply the natural result of living with integrity. The Stoics called this phenomenon the attraction of virtue, understanding that moral excellence creates its own gravitational field. When you refuse to compromise your values for social acceptance, when you speak truth even when it's uncomfortable, when you pursue excellence regardless of popular opinion, you become a beacon that simultaneously attracts and repels. The key insight here is learning to see this polarization not as a burden but as confirmation that you're operating from a place of authentic power. The second sign is that people constantly seek your advice and energy, yet many struggle to reciprocate when you need support. This paradox reveals something profound about the nature of powerful auras and human psychology. When you've developed genuine inner strength, when you've cultivated the ability to remain centered in chaos and find solutions where others see only problems, you become what the ancient Greeks called a phronimos, a person of practical wisdom. Your aura broadcasts this capability before you even speak, drawing people who are struggling with their own challenges and seeking someone who can provide clarity and direction. However, this same strength that makes you an invaluable advisor also creates an unconscious assumption in others that you're somehow beyond needing support yourself. They project onto you an image of invulnerability, assuming that someone capable of solving their problems must not have problems of their own. This isn't malicious, It's simply a limitation of their perspective. Most people operate from scarcity consciousness, believing that support and energy are finite resources that must be carefully rationed. They cannot comprehend that truly powerful individuals understand abundance consciousness, the recognition that giving actually increases your capacity to receive. The Stoic philosophy addresses this beautifully through the concept of the reserve clause, the understanding that we cannot control others' responses, only our own actions. When you offer guidance and support, you do so because it aligns with your values and purpose, not because you expect equal return. This doesn't mean becoming a doormat or allowing others to drain your energy without boundaries. Instead, it means recognizing that your power comes from your ability to give freely while maintaining clear standards for how you allow others to treat you. The wisest approach is to continue offering your gifts while simultaneously building a smaller circle of individuals who can match your energy and commitment to mutual support. The third sign is that your presence alone can shift the entire energy of a room, often without saying a single word. This phenomenon points to something the ancients understood but modern society has largely forgotten: the reality that human consciousness operates as both a receiver and transmitter of energy. Your aura, when properly developed and aligned, becomes like a radio station broadcasting on a frequency of excellence, authenticity, and purpose. When you enter a space, everyone present unconsciously begins tuning into this frequency, and their own energy either elevates to match yours or creates resistance through discomfort. This isn't about dominance or intimidation. It's about the natural law that higher vibrations influence lower ones. Think of how a single candle can illuminate an entire dark room, or how one person's genuine laughter can transform the mood of an entire gathering. Your powerful aura works on the same principle, but instead of light or sound, you're transmitting qualities like confidence, integrity, presence, and purposefulness. People sense these qualities before they consciously recognize them, and their subconscious minds immediately begin making assessments about their own lives in comparison. The Stoics understood this through their concept of sympathia, the interconnectedness of all things. Marcus Aurelius observed that we are all part of a larger whole, and that individual consciousness inevitably affects collective consciousness. When you've done the work to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your highest values, when you've cultivated genuine presence through practices like meditation, self-reflection, and conscious living, you become what Epictetus called a procope, one who is making real progress toward wisdom. This progress isn't just personal. It creates ripples that extend far beyond your immediate awareness. The practical implication of this sign is learning to take responsibility for the energy you bring into every situation. Understanding that your mere presence has impact means approaching each interaction with intentionality and care. It means recognizing that you have the power to elevate or diminish the energy of any gathering, and choosing consciously to be a force for elevation. This isn't about perfection or pretending to be something you're not. It's about bringing your most authentic, centered self to every moment and trusting that this authenticity will naturally inspire others to access their own higher qualities. The fourth sign is that you experience profound loneliness even when surrounded by people, because few can match the depth of your thoughts and emotions. This isolation isn't a flaw in your character or a punishment for your intensity. It's the natural consequence of operating at a level of consciousness that most people haven't yet accessed. The depth of your inner world, the complexity of your thoughts, the intensity of your emotions, and the breadth of your vision create a rich internal landscape that requires equally sophisticated companionship to be fully appreciated and understood. Most people live primarily on the surface of existence, engaging with life through reactive patterns, social conditioning, and the pursuit of immediate gratification. They haven't developed the capacity for deep introspection, complex emotional processing, or philosophical contemplation that characterizes your daily experience. When you attempt to share your genuine thoughts and feelings, you often encounter blank stares, uncomfortable silence, or attempts to redirect the conversation toward more superficial topics. This isn't because people are inherently shallow, but because they haven't cultivated the mental and emotional muscles necessary to engage with profound ideas and intense emotions. The Stoics faced this same challenge, which is why they formed schools and communities of like-minded individuals who could engage in meaningful discourse about life's deepest questions. Seneca wrote extensively about the loneliness that comes with philosophical pursuit, noting that the path to wisdom necessarily involves periods of isolation as you outgrow your former circles of connection. This loneliness serves a purpose. It forces you to develop a deep, authentic relationship with yourself, to become comfortable with your own company, and to find meaning and fulfillment from internal sources rather than external validation. The key insight here is recognizing that this loneliness is temporary and purposeful. As you continue to grow and evolve, you will naturally attract others who operate at your level of depth and intensity. The universe has a way of bringing together souls who are ready for meaningful connection, but this often requires patience and the willingness to maintain your standards rather than settling for superficial relationships that leave you feeling even more isolated. Your powerful aura serves as a filtering mechanism, ensuring that the connections you do form are based on genuine compatibility rather than convenience or desperation. The fifth sign is that you naturally inspire others to question their life choices simply through your example of authentic living. This happens not through preaching, judgment, or direct confrontation, but through the quiet power of living in complete alignment with your values and purpose. Your life becomes a walking demonstration of what's possible when someone refuses to accept mediocrity, when they choose growth over comfort, when they prioritize inner development over external approval. This example is so compelling, so undeniably attractive, that it forces others to examine their own choices and consider whether they're truly living according to their deepest values. The ancient concept of arete, excellence of character, explains this phenomenon perfectly. When you embody arete, when every aspect of your life reflects your commitment to being the best version of yourself, you become what Aristotle called a magnanimous person, someone whose very existence elevates the possibilities for human flourishing. Your authentic living creates what philosophers call a moral gravity, pulling others toward higher standards and better choices through the sheer force of your example. This inspirational effect often makes people uncomfortable because it highlights the gap between who they are and who they could become. Your presence becomes a mirror reflecting their own potential back to them, and this can trigger feelings of regret, inadequacy, or defensive anger. Some will respond by attempting to diminish your achievements, questioning your motives, or trying to find flaws in your character. Others will be inspired to begin their own journey of transformation, recognizing in you a guide who has successfully navigated the path they wish to walk. The Stoics understood that this inspirational responsibility comes with great weight. When your life serves as an example for others, every choice you make becomes magnified in its impact. This doesn't mean pursuing perfection or becoming paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes. Instead, it means approaching your life with the understanding that your actions ripple outward in ways you may never fully comprehend. It means taking seriously the responsibility to live with integrity, not just for your own benefit, but for the benefit of everyone whose life you touch through your example. Understanding these 5 signs of a powerful aura isn't about superiority or separation. It's about recognition and responsibility. When you acknowledge the magnitude of your personal energy, when you accept that your presence naturally influences everyone around you, when you embrace both the gifts and challenges that come with operating at this level of intensity, you step fully into your role as a leader and catalyst for positive change in the world. The path of the powerful aura is not easy. It requires tremendous courage to remain authentic when authenticity makes others uncomfortable. It demands incredible strength to maintain your standards when others pressure you to lower them. It calls for profound wisdom to know when to share your energy generously and when to protect it fiercely. But this path is also the most rewarding one available to human consciousness, because it leads to a life of genuine meaning, deep impact, and lasting fulfillment. Your powerful aura is not an accident or a burden. It's your birthright and your calling. Every moment you spend trying to dim your light to make others comfortable is a moment stolen from your true purpose. The world desperately needs people who are willing to shine at full brightness, who refuse to compromise their essence for social acceptance, who understand that they're authentic. Power is their greatest gift to humanity. Remember that every person who has ever changed the world for the better has walked this path before you. They faced the same loneliness, the same misunderstanding, the same pressure to conform. but they chose to trust in the power of their authentic selves, to believe that their unique energy was exactly what the world needed, even when the world seemed to reject it. Your powerful aura connects you to this lineage of world changers, making you part of a spiritual tradition that spans all cultures and all centuries. The choice before you is simple but not easy. Will you continue to apologize for your intensity, or will you own it completely? Will you keep trying to make yourself smaller to fit into spaces that were never meant to contain you, or will you create new spaces that can hold the fullness of who you are? Will you see your powerful aura as a problem to be solved, or as a gift to be cultivated and shared? Thank you for having the courage to recognize your own power, for being willing to stand apart from the crowd, and for choosing to embrace rather than diminish the extraordinary energy that flows through you. Your commitment to authentic living, your willingness to question everything, and your refusal to accept anything less than excellence make you a beacon of hope in a world that desperately needs more people operating from their highest potential. Continue to shine, continue to grow, and never forget that your powerful aura is not just your gift. It's your responsibility to use it in service of something greater than yourself.